Well, I have my official ticket. Let's see what Downton the exhibition has to offer.
It is my happy duty to welcome you to the world of Downton Abbey. You will be given the opportunity to discover both its public and its private faces.
Everything's the same dimensions. It's all the same. It's making me so nostalgic. All my jelly molds. It's all there.
You'll find there's never a dull moment in this house.
This is Mrs. Patmore here. She's lost her head, unfortunately, but that's the only time she's quiet, I think, isn't it? Bless her.
For heaven's sake, get a move on, girl, before they get back from church.
This is exactly how all of the place settings should be sat. 4 glasses and too many knives and forks to know what to do with, really.
Everything I read on my desk were authentic sort of bills from 1923 or something like that. So the attention to detail is fantastic. For me, all the best scenes were shot in here because this is when you got to be personal and private, and we had those private moments. So there was the
proposal?
Oh, the proposal.
Of course I'll marry you, you old booby. I thought you'd never ask.
I really feel like if you watch the show, to come to these sets is so exciting because it's exactly the same as what you've seen on TV.
One of the real joys of the job was the costumes. And it's really special to see them in this context.
Heavens, we are quite a party.
This part, to about here, is all one piece of lace, which is very, very expensive antique lace, I was told when I was wearing it.
There's lots for the kids to do with opening drawers and pressing buttons and listening to music and making phone calls. People will be excited to see it.
Experience the history, the fashion, the house.
Welcome to Downton.
Downton Abbey, the exhibition. Coming to New York for a limited time only.
That was beautiful to see you guys together again on stage and watching a clip of all of you all from the show Downton Abbey. Do you get emotional just seeing that?
Little bit.
Yeah.
No, not at all. You don't miss it at all. But it's cool to see you all together again. Has it been fun sort of have a reunion here in New York?
Oh, yes.
Yes?
So much fun. It's so weird when we all get together, but to be in New York, we're all really excited, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well, we're so excited to have you here, and we're so excited for this exhibit that's opening up tomorrow in New York. What can we see here at the exhibit? Because I know you all have been, and we haven't been yet.
Yeah, I went yesterday for the first time. Some of the guys had seen it before, but I hadn't. And obviously, you know, having worked on those sets for 6 years, I kind of thought, I think I kind of know what it's going to be like. And I was actually blown away by the exhibition. It is so brilliantly done. It's so brilliantly curated, and it is a real experience. You know, there's a whole sort of interactive section where you kind of feel like you're part of an episode, and it actually brought a tear to my eye when I walked in and saw the sets and our costumes. And I thought, oh, all our costumes look really small on the...
Not mine.
No, Lesley, it does.
Mine neither,
Everyone's
yeah.
looks really small. I was like, God, did we... So it was, yeah, it was wonderful. It really is an incredible experience. If anybody is a fan of the show, I think people will thoroughly enjoy it.
So it's not the... Oh, go on. Yeah.
I was just going to, on a more trivial note, because that's all true, and it is wonderful, but there's a thing outside with a cardboard cutout of, you know, so you can stick your face through, of the different characters. Yeah. So we've got a lovely picture. I'm Lady Cora, and she's Little George. So you can have a lot of fun with that as you go in.
They were trying to get us in the exhibition, and we were happy with just that cardboard bit at the beginning.
What did you think about going through when you saw it for the first time? Because in the clip, you're like, oh, I got nostalgic thinking about something in the kitchen. But was there some part of it that really felt...
Yeah, because it's exactly the same as our set. So we were, and the music's playing, and I was with Lesley. So yeah, we got a bit. We did
a bit teary,
yeah.
And it was. I mean, it's so accurate. It really, really is. So you go. This is actually like being in the kitchen, and then the servants' hall has been recreated, where we used to sit in between takes. So it was like sitting around there waiting to film something. So it took us way, way back.
And the props, most of the props that you see in the exhibition are the actual real props that we use. So I sat on the set of Lady Mary's bedroom in the exhibition. I was like, oh my goodness, that's her actual hairbrush that I brushed Michelle's hair with for 6 years. I thought, I wonder how many hours I've spent holding this hairbrush. So, yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If you actually were doing the jobs that you were doing on the show in real life, how good would you have been at it? So we'll start with you, Joanne.
I'd have been really bad because everyone knows that I'm such a magpie and I love shoes and I love fashion. So I would just steal everything out of Lady Mary's wardrobe. Like, oh no, sorry, it went missing. I don't know what happened to it. And I'd come in a great big gown or something. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do it. Yeah.
So Lesley, would you be a good Mrs. Patmore?
Absolutely not. Can't cook. I'm learning at the moment because I've changed what I eat, so I've got to learn to cook.
Okay.
But no, I'm really not a cook of any description. No.
And what about you as Daisy? Would you have been a real good Daisy?
I think it was a lot. She had to get up first, so she was up so early and so many heavy things to carry. No, it would be so hard, and I can't cook either, so no.
Alan?
Sleeping with daughters of the aristocracy, yeah, I think I would have been pretty good at that. Yeah.
But fixing cars, maybe not.
Oh, sorry, chauffeur, yeah. Not a bad driver. Although I did scare the life out of Maggie Smith on one of my first days driving that car.
Really? How did that...
They said, it's a car built in 1910. They said, if you wouldn't mind stopping just on that mark just there, obviously it's an older car, it takes a little longer to stop, and I didn't get it right, and I had to pull the handbrake. So I managed to handbrake turn a 1910 Renault. And then I said, well, I would just reverse it, and Maggie turned and went, I think I'll get out first, darling. So, yeah.
Didn't trust you in the driver's seat.
No.
So who on the set was most like their character, would you say?
Oh, that's a good question.
Wow, we never had that.
I don't think anybody is
No, I don't.
anything like their character, really. I can't think of...
No.
I stumped you.
Yeah.
You really did. It's a good question. George.
The little boy.
Child,
The
yeah.
children.
Yeah.
Children, the children.
The dog.
The dog.
The two Georges
Multiple
and the
dogs,
dog.
potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about who was least like their character?
Oh,
Rob James Collier.
Rob James Collier,
yeah.
because he's not gay.
Siobhan
Are we allowed to say that?
Siobhan Finneran, because she's not a
Siobhan.
Not a
Siobhan and Rob,
baddie.
because they're both really bubbly, funny, witty, characters,
And
the
not
best
bad
people to
people,
be
they're
around.
good people.
And they both played sort of kind of nasty people, which is the exact opposite of what they are.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Or Dan Stevens, because he's not dead.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is true.
Oh, we were so sad to see Dan go, but the show had such a beautiful life after Dan that it had so many
We
reincarnations.
clearly didn't need him, it's fine.
Forget you, Dan.
He's doing fine.
He's doing
the odd
okay
thing.
without us. Yeah.
But it seems like you guys have such a bond. So there are cliques on the show, of course, the upstairs, downstairs. Were there cliques behind the scenes? Do you have folks that you were hanging out with more?
Well, you know what? It depended what your job was. For me, I didn't go upstairs as much because I wasn't allowed, whereas you did. So you knew the potties better than we did, probably. Because you
Yes,
worked
I
with
spent
them
a lot of
all.
time brushing their hair.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Whereas we didn't. Well,
We weren't allowed to be in that house very often, so
No.
we kind of spent so much more time with the downstairs people, I guess, didn't we?
But when we did do a whole big thing at a wedding or a funeral or whatever, it was really nice because we did feel in the same gang. I just didn't know them quite as well as this lot.
And the chances that we always had to come away and promote the show wherever we went around the world, that was when, we were just one big family. And carnage ensued.
Well,
Well, if you were there, it did. Yeah.
How very dare
we're all
you.
having a little reunion dinner soon, aren't we, before Christmas as well? Well, 15 of us, those of us that are in one country at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do obviously get on relatively well because we're choosing to see each other out of work.
now, did you do that last year too, or was this the
We did it
first
at the
time?
beginning of this year, didn't
Yeah,
we?
January.
It was so lovely.
It was brilliant.
There was 33 of us, I think, wasn't there, in January? It was amazing. It was really fun.
That's incredible. Do you have a text exchange or an email where you all keep in touch, or is it?
Jim wrangles us all for the dinners, doesn't
Yeah.
he, Mr. Carson?
On this, I did hear
You've
about...
just gone on a very sensitive subject here.
Because the guy said, do you remember when that was on the group text? What group text? I'm not on
He's
a group
not
text.
on the group. It's only a little one.
I'm
Well,
not on the group
But we're
text.
not.
Yeah,
Yes,
see,
you
Jo-
are.
Oh, I am on the group. It's fine. I'm on it. I'm on
Four
it.
of
It's fine. I
us.
feel so much better. I am.
But Alan's not.
Why do you keep bringing it up?
I didn't bring it up. She did.
Don't want to be on it. Don't want to be on it.
Well, now you have to be on it. Whoever's leading that
Oh,
group
we can
text, you
easily
have to
add
act.
you. It'll
Yeah.
be fine.
You're not left out.
It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace.
Well, there's been so much talk about a film. And we know that, Julian Fellows has said he wants to put together a film. And I know you've been asked this before, but what is the latest with the status of a potential Downton Abbey film?
I think we're all in the same place where there's a great willingness amongst all of us to do it. And it's just, as Julian said, trying to get everyone in one place. So, it's like herding cats. Yeah, so if we,
It's in
and
development.
now I'm obviously slowly getting myself written out of it, if I am in it, by
you're
doing
really
impressions of
working
the
out.
writer. Yeah.
But we don't know if it's written yet. You don't really have much
Well,
information.
I was officially, well, not officially, I was sat next to Gareth Neame doing some interviews yesterday. Gareth Neame's our executive producer. And he said in front of journalists, so I presume I'm allowed to repeat it, that there is a script and everyone's keen and they're hoping to make it happen. But they kind of need to give us all a ring, you know, give us all a call and get
They
booked
do.
in.
Yeah, because you are working on different projects and you have other things going on, so it is like potentially hurting cats. So, okay, if there were a film, you haven't seen the ending of it yet. You know what this film would be, the script. What would you imagine for each of your characters if you had to dream it? We'll start with you.
Oh, wow.
I imagine I'll be in a brown hat again, carrying a tea tray. And no, I think Anna and Bates will hopefully, it'd be lovely if they have maybe baby number 2 by then. And they may have their little guest house, but obviously still working at Downton. That would be managed by somebody else. And I hope they get their happy ever after. Yes.
They had a tough go of it for a little bit, but it was a
They
nice,
had
happy...
some ups and downs, you know. It was hard on them. So I'd like to see them happy and, and then having a happy future.
What about you, Lesley?
Ideally, as I'm a huge fan of Sir Anthony Hopkins, he will be cast as my new beau, and he will fall in love with me, Mrs. Patmore, deeply, and she will transform into this kind of goggle-eyed beauty, and they'll just elope and live happily ever after and have lots of dogs.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say that Daisy would look after Mrs. Patmore into her dotage, but I don't need to anymore because you've got Tony.
No, you can pop in.
I'll be visiting. I don't know, maybe she's pursuing a political career. I don't know.
She'll be the first female Prime Minister.
That's what I always
Daisy.
say, but it's got to be
Why not?
historically accurate, hasn't it?
Not always.
What about you, Alan?
Well, I'd like to see Bronson happy. Obviously, the fun version would be that he realises the error of his ways, realises he's gay and elopes with Thomas Barrow, and opens the first Edwardian gay bar.
There you go. Thomas is, hungry for, a partner. So that's perfect. Yeah. It's perfect. So, but we would probably see the Depression potentially hit Downton. Potentially, we don't know. We have no idea. No. Yeah, how it would hit. So I have a question though. With the filming, we talked a little bit about the upstairs, downstairs. Some of it was filmed inside the home, and some of it wasn't. Right? It was at a studio. How did that work out? Like, how often were you at the actual house itself, and how much was actually filmed outside of that area?
We normally shot in 2 episode blocks, and you would do at least a week or 2 weeks in Highclere and then 2 weeks in Ealing, and you'd shoot everything for the 2 episodes. That was at the house, and then you'd go to the studios and vice
Occasionally
versa.
we got out, when we were doing village scenes, to a place called Bampton in Oxfordshire, which was gorgeous, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that was fun because there was a good shop there that we used to go to. It was nice, a day out. It was a lovely day out for us. That's where the church is and the square and the house and all that.
Yeah. What are the things when you look back on it? What was the storylines that each of you enjoyed the most? Whether it was your storyline or another character's.
Carson, Mrs. Hughes was always one of my favorites.
Oh yeah.
Anybody else?
I actually am not just saying this because they're sat here, but I actually really loved the relationship between Mrs. Patmore and Daisy. Not the relationship, the friendship. Well, it's a relationship.
It was a relationship.
Not a romantic relationship, but that sort of thing that, it's just developed into this lovely sort of mother-daughter relationship. And I always loved watching those scenes.
What about either of you?
I feel the same. I really liked the development of our story together because it started off her just shouting at me all the time and me being the bane of her life to her kind of loving me as if I was a rock.
Quite a lot, really.
So I liked that development.
Actually, what was great was he spotted what each person was doing and he then wrote in that, he developed. Because to begin with, I was just a bitch. And she was a little victim. And then he realised that she's very funny. Yeah. And so we became a bit more of a double act. And I really actually like her. So he sort of, he went in that direction. So it was great. He did that with every character. He developed everybody's journey and it was more interesting. I mean, it became very interesting.
Sure. Did you ever have a say in, okay, this is something, nothing, you're shaking your head, no, this is something I would like to see for my role?
No, I think it was always just a trust in what he'd done. Obviously, he was writing so well for all of us that we kind of just put our faith in it, and then whatever we got, we did our work with.
No, we never did know, did we?
No, but like Lesley said, Julian has said to us many times, hasn't he, that he, from the start he watched, you know, the footage and started to write to our individual strengths or what he felt, and he obviously got that right, and we obviously felt like he did, because I certainly never had a need to go, hang on a minute, I don't think Anna would be doing this, or, you know, it really seemed to gel together, didn't it?
Take me back to when you first filmed that first episode and that pilot, and I mean, you probably had no idea the extent and the broad appeal worldwide that this would be. So what was going through your mind when you first filmed that first episode, and then kind of like fast forward 5-6 years and what you feel now?
Well, I remember my very first moment, like coming onto location on my very first day, and my first day filming. I think the filming had been they'd been shooting for about a week before my first day, and my first day was at Highclere Castle at the house, and you put this imposing driveway that's about 2 miles long, and you can't even see the castle, and you just come around the corner and you just see this enormous, it's enormous, this castle, and this beautiful Gothic architecture, and I just kind of went, wow, I think this might be quite good. I was just like, it looks really good. So I was just like, yeah, this looks great. Yeah, it sort of went on from there, but I don't think any of us could have guessed or imagined that, starting out on that first day, that we'd be here, you know, 8 years later, talking about the exhibition, because it's been like such a part of people's lives. So I think we all feel incredibly blessed to have been a part of it.
You're shaking your head, Alan. What was your first memory when you kind of stepped onto the set?
I came in on episode 4. You guys were well into the swing of things. So I was the new boy, and again, kind of was blown away by seeing the house. And I remember just thinking that how incredibly lucky I felt. And obviously that feeling of luck has grown and grown and grown over the 6 years. And the same, I just feel really privileged and incredibly proud that people like still want to talk about Downton and immerse themselves in it, and I think the exhibition definitely is a great opportunity for them to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. You were shaking your head too, like you had a vision, remember?
Well, I remember the first day clearly, because the first scene I had to walk. Well, I had to walk and talk fast at the same time.
So it was very hard.
Awful. Terribly difficult. And as the years went by, Sophie and I, particularly because we were always doing stuff in the kitchen and acting, and you have to remember exactly what you did at the same moment so that it cuts together. So we went on a crash course very quickly to achieve that and to learn how to do that. But I remember I had to whisk past you and get some boiling water, and it was I felt like I was chucking myself down a mine shaft. It was so frightening. But then you just got on the train and off you went, really.
Yeah.
I do think you and Sophie probably had the most props to deal with constantly.
It was like choreography.
It was always choreography, and we had no time to do it. It was like, you better remember it, like now.
Yeah.
And also, we did always try and make it logical. We weren't just randomly, making it up. We always had somebody telling us what it was we were doing, where we were, when dinner was coming, because that dictated the speed of the scene. Because if you were about to serve dinner, then it was more mad and faster. Wasn't it? It was we tried to be accurate with it. So it was quite a lot to think about, yeah.
Is that what stands out to you, Sophie?
Yeah, all the food stuff. Because sometimes you only had so many goes at a scene, else you'd run out of stuff.
Yeah, so you couldn't mess it up.
You can't, you just run out of the thing that you're pretending to make because you keep doing it and ruining it. But, yeah, I guess all that choreography stuff. I remember I think my first scene was it like a big, long tracking shot for the opening of the first episode? In the house. And it was like a Steadicam shot that went all the way around. And I had to carry all Daisy's things that she did the fires with. And it was so heavy. And I just wasn't expecting it. And they were saying, oh, we can make it lighter. We can take it all out. And I said, no, I don't want to have to act heavy as well as doing acting. I'd rather it's just really heavy. So that's what I started doing. That was just so much easier than going, oh, this is really heavy. And it just was really heavy. But yeah, that's my first day. That's what I can remember.
But you got the short story because you were always carting heavy things about.
Always.
Those pans in the kitchen are so heavy, empty. You can imagine. I mean, and she's lugging them around. I never lifted a pan. In 6 years, I never lifted a pan. You were pouring big loads of tea around people.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh, yeah, you were constantly holding that teapot. Poor
What about-
Sophie? It was the most enormous teapot you've ever seen. I'm sure you've seen it on screen, but in real life, it's bigger than her head. And it was
so big.
so heavy. And I was like, how is your wrist still holding that?
But I
She
did
said
get
hours on
I
end.
did get in trouble because sometimes I'd just be in the back of shop pouring tea, but I had this really awful knack of completely obstructing people's heads with the teapot. People who were integral to the scene, unlike me and my teapot. So one time I think I blocked Mr. Bates for like his whole take, and they were like, "Cut! You're pouring the tea right in front of his face."
If they'd given you a smaller teapot, none of that would have happened.
Exactly.
I love what all of you remember, but for us, it was just one of those shows that really resonated for the fans. And what do you think it was, now having 2 years away from it, that really caught fire with so many people? What do you think, Joanne?
I mean, it's really hard to sort of pinpoint exactly what that thing is. Sometimes things just hit at the right time. And obviously, it was a quality show. It was great storytelling. It looked beautiful. But I think it had a little bit of everything. It had love, it had comedy, it had drama, sorrow, loss, all those sort of really human things that we can all relate to. And it was a show that generations of a family could sit down and watch together. And there aren't that many of those around that generations can watch and all enjoy for sort of different reasons. But I guess if we really knew, we'd all be doing what Julian did and making it happen ourselves.
he says that. He says, if I knew what it was, I'd write a string of them.
There you go. Well, maybe the film. Maybe fingers crossed for that.
Fingers crossed.
So it's been 2 years. You all are up to different things. Let's start with you. I know you have a film coming out, Alan, that's getting a lot of buzz.
Yeah, I'm filming it right now. I should go back on Saturday. It's Bohemian Rhapsody, the story of Freddie Mercury and Queen, with Rami Malek playing Freddie, who's phenomenal. I think it's going to be just such a treat for us, everyone to see him and his depiction. And so we're in the throes of that at the minute, and it's amazing. I was a fan of Queen growing up, so it's like being a kid in a candy store, as you would say here, not a candy shop. So yeah, it's really lovely.
So anybody else up to anything interesting that since the show?
Well, Leslie's coming back to London, which we're very excited
I'll
about.
be in a play in London because I live here now. And I'm very happy to be going back just for a little bit to see everybody as well as do a nice job. Then I'm going to Toronto to play Miss Hannigan in Annie on the stage. Yeah. Some boozy old trout who gets to sing.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
And I've just played the lead in a show called Liar, which has just finished airing in the States and went down incredibly well at home. So I'm thrilled that it went down so well. And I'm also in Mary Shelley, a movie that comes out next year with Elle Fanning playing Mary Shelley. I play her horrible stepmother. And another couple of independent movies that I did in America last year, one called A Crooked Somebody and one called One Last Thing. So that's it. And I've just started a production company as well. So I'm keeping myself busy. Yeah.
Oh,
you can use us then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, we can all get back together.
Give us jobs.
Everyone buy Joe Fro a drink. Everyone buy Joe Fro a drink.
Well, we can't see what you do. Wait to see what you do with your production company. And that sounds awesome. So,
you.
I could talk to you guys all day, but we have a crew here that wants to ask you some questions. A little audience, Chris. So let's get that started.
I've asked this question of other actors and actresses before, but did you end up getting the roles that you initially auditioned for? And if so, were you surprised about that?
I did, yes. I was always just going in for Anna, and it was the one character that I really connected with when I read the script as well. So I just felt like they'd matched me really well with her. So yeah, it was a kind of straightforward process for me.
What happened to me has never, ever happened before and may never, ever happen again. It just doesn't happen, but it did. They saw me and they didn't see anyone else. Well, that's marvellous, isn't it? It's like nobody's in the way. It's just, you can have it. Okay. I mean, it was bliss. Yeah. My good luck.
Yeah, I auditioned. I think I was the last person to audition on the Friday evening after they'd done about 2 weeks. So they were probably just exhausted by that point. She'll do. But I only auditioned for Daisy and got Daisy.
I originally auditioned for Dame Maggie Smith's part. And they actually said, you're better than her, but she's a bigger name. And I said, okay, it's fine. I'll play the chauffeur. I went for the chauffeur, but originally he was from the north of England. and they wanted me to play him Irish, and I wanted to do it with the northern accent, and they said no because we have a whole storyline. And thankfully, I didn't fight it too hard because he became Tom Branson. So, yeah.
Amazing. Well, we're so glad for that because it would have been so different without you guys there. All right, next up.
Hi. If you didn't play your characters, who would you want to play?
Mr. Molesley. I really like Mr. Molesley. He's just, I love him. He's so sweet, and he always gets it a bit wrong, and he's just really...
And he gave me my education.
And he gave some, yeah, exactly.
Which was opened a can of worms, did it not? I didn't hear the question, I'm sorry.
Who do you want to play if you weren't your character?
I don't want to play anyone else. I'm too fond of Beryl.
I don't know. Maybe I'll try and be a Pat more.
All right, we'll swap.
Yeah, we'll swap.
I think it's a credit to any actor that, you know, I can't see anyone else in their roles, but just because of the fun that I think Rob James Collier had, I'd love to, you know, Thomas Barrow, because he's such an evil man.
Yeah. Love it. Thank you. All right, who's next?
Was Maggie Smith as witty and funny in person as she is on the show?
Wittier and funnier. She is an amazing, amazing woman.
Yes.
And you would get the sense that she doesn't, you know, when she does her part and we go off, she wants to just be part of the team. She wants to sit there telling stories that go back and just hear about what we're up to and everything else. She's such a lovely woman.
This is an example. For some reason, I was doing a group shot of us lot at Ealing, and Maggie was sitting close by, and she was in a nightie, as it happened. And so I said to her, will you have this picture? I think it was to send to a friend of mine in China. So they know her, they were all ready to have the picture. And Maggie, I didn't ask Maggie, she had a nightie on, you know, it didn't feel right. And she stood up and she said, don't you want me? And so she stood there, had a picture taken, did she? So that's typical, actually. She was not, you know, standoffish at all.
Great. All right, we have one last question.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I wanted to know, since there were so many different storylines on the show, which storyline surprised you the most? And I also wanted to know, after being in this show, do you ever wonder, like, what your ancestors were doing at this time period?
Oh.
Good question.
Which storyline surprised us the most? Well,
we didn't know Matthew was going to
I
die,
was just
did we?
thinking that. We were kind of...
That came as a bit of a shock. Yeah, we didn't know that. That seemed a bit
And that
huge.
aired in the UK on Christmas Day, on the Christmas special as well. I was talking to Gareth Neame about this as well yesterday, and I said, did you feel like the Grinch, Gareth? Because you ruined Christmas for a lot of people that year.
Yeah.
I've heard stories of teenage girls crying in their room on Christmas Day for hours. I'm like, oh. So that was quite a shocking moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, we all got in trouble because we didn't warn anyone because we were sworn to secrecy. So all our families hated us on Christmas Day. It wasn't a good time.
Yeah, I kind of think that storyline was very dramatic. One that surprised me and kind of came out of nowhere as well was Mosley's storyline, like how it developed and the kind of character he became again, Julian writing to someone's strengths as a comedic actor.
And that's right, isn't it? It's tribute to him, actually, because his part was quite small, and they spotted it and went, ooh, this guy's good, and then they just developed his whole character.
And in relation to ancestors, I'd love to know more about what mine were up to around this time.
Yeah, we need to find out.
Need to do that
we need to do a Downton Who Do You Think You Are?
Yeah.
That would be good. That would be good.
That would be good.
I would love that. Thank you for
Good
that
question.
question. And thank you so much for coming by today. The exhibition opens tomorrow in New York, and it's supposed to go to other cities too, right?
Yeah.
So very excited. So if you're not in New York, come to New York.
It's
and
really
if not,
good.
just stay tuned for where it's going to be. So thank you all. Give them a round of applause. It's so great to see them together.
Very much.
Thanks for having us.